Well, hey there and welcome. My name is Jason Dykstra, and today I want to talk a little bit about who to expect when you're grieving. When you're kind of in that place where you've lost someone or you're just experiencing this grief, what kind of people can you expect to show up? And I think it's kind of along the lines of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And if you're kind of like, Jason, what in the heck are you talking about? Goldilocks and the Three? Just stay with me for just one moment. But you think about it, like Goldilocks is in the forest. She goes into this house where these bears are out for a walk, and she sees that first bowl of porridge and says, "Oh, this one's a little bit hot." And she goes to the next bowl. This one's a little cold. And the last one, she goes, that is just right. I think it's kind of the same way with people when they show up. And I should say right from the very outset that I think all of these people have the very best intentions in place as they kind of enter into your grief. They just don't always show up in the best way, perhaps. And I think there's a lot of different reasons for that. But without getting into that, let's go through the three different types of people that are likely to show up when you're in that place of grief. Number one is the too hot person, the person that comes in and says every single word that they know. They just exhaust their entire verbiage. And when they've run out of words to say, they start back at the beginning. And they just kind of come in like this hurricane, just like destroying everything in its path. These people don't mean to do that. They just get so caught up in what is happening right in front of them that they just get swirled. They just got taken by this emotion. And as a result of that, they don't know what to do with it. They just are triggered and they just blow down everything in its path. And it's one of those things where these people at some point in the conversation, they all of a sudden break down crying or what have you, and us as the griever now sits there beside them, kind of putting our arm around and being like, there, I'll be okay. And then there's those people that are too cold. I remember when we lost our son, I went to work and I was working with this person for an entire 8 hours, and she didn't mention a single thing about our loss whatsoever. And for me, I kind of wanted to be there and just like start screaming, like, can we at least talk about the elephant in the room here? Can we at least acknowledge what is actually happening here? I don't know. It just felt like there should be some sort of acknowledgement, some sort of something. And it just wasn't able to be offered in that time. And I think these people all have great intentions as well. I know I've been there where someone experiences grief, or someone experiences a loss. And I think to myself, well, I'm not going to give them a message right now because they have so many people surrounding them. They're getting so many messages. I don't want to be overbearing and add another voice to that mix. And so maybe in a week or so I'll give them a message when things have kind of died down a little bit. And then a week passed and you still see all this support around them and everything along those lines. And so we don't message. And a couple of weeks go by and all of a sudden, our schedules catch up to us and we get really busy and, all those kind of excuses that we have. And we kind of forget to send them a message. And so all of a sudden a month goes by. And all of a sudden we remember and we think, oh shoot, I was going to send them a message. And now we almost feel this sense of shame or this sense of guilt for not sending that person a message. But what do? Instead of facing that shame, instead of facing that guilt and sending that message, we just kind of ignore it. And a couple of months go by and maybe we bump into them or something along those lines. Think, wow, this is just kind of too awkward to mention anything at this point. And so maybe I'm just going to stay silent about it. Right? It's kind of like the ostrich seeing this trouble. They just put their head in the sand and just don't say anything at all. It can hurt a lot for the person that is experiencing grief because all of a sudden you don't get some of these messages from people that you're expecting to get some of these messages from. And that can be really hard. And then there's this third type of people that I wish there was something that this is what they do or this is what you can, be prepared for. But it's nothing to do with what they say, nothing to do with what they do. There's just something about them that just their presence alone, just by showing up and attending to our group, sitting with us, having tea, having coffee, having a drink, just that act of sitting with us, taking care of our kids, washing the dishes, doing whatever it is that they're doing, just them being present and attentive to the pain that exists. there's something about these people. It's kind of like Goldilocks in that third bowl of porridge, where it's like, it just feels good. It just feels good to be supported by someone. It just feels good to know that there's community around us. And so for people that are watching this that are experiencing grief, know that all three of these types exist. And it's not up to you to formulate yourself or to adjust yourself to that person's experience, to that person coming in, because it's really about you. It's really about your grief and what is going to be helpful for you. And that's going to look different for every single person. And for people that are trying to attend to people that are experiencing grief, know that every single person grieves differently. And if our intentions are to help this person in the place that they are in, then we better be darn sure willing to change how we're approaching that situation if we're being told that that is not being helpful. I hope you find that video valuable and helpful. We're going to be making more videos specifically around grief and communication, and maybe an adventure or two over the coming years. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for more. Until then, we'll see ya.